5 drivers are title eligible in what has been the closest championship race in SNT history. After a very important race last week at the Texas Motor Speedway, championship lead hands changed once again, and it's now time to settle it for the final 167 laps of the season, 250 miles from America's home for racing. Welcome to the Charlotte Motor Speedway, and the 2026A season finale is just minutes away. Qualifying is on the move with all of your top drivers taking times. And after last week, his first win of the season, Jack Drucker finds himself at the top of the points pylon. Welcome back to FTN Broadcasting. I'm your host, David Croyd's commentating and producing. This is the night that we've been waiting for since February. Chase Schaefer, the dominant man on the schedule, has bowed out of the championship, and with his absence last week, it leaves these 5 drivers with a great opportunity now. The championship is now fallen into one of their hands. Drucker leads the points by 13, but it's a 6-point spread between 4 men behind him, which means it really could go any way. Drucker able to make up 15 points last night of racing. James Thurston is second in points. The next closest, 13 back. 1 minute and 21 seconds left on the clock as Matthew White is at the head of the timing pylon. Jack Drucker puts his lap up. He gets up to 6th. James Thurston is on the way now with 1 minute and 10 seconds left. He's got just enough time to put one good lap down. He is feeling like it's a win-or-go-home circumstance. He's spoken about this before. Now, it looks like it really does become one final chance. Thurston has laid down 2 consecutive podiums, but he has been beaten out over the last 2 weeks. Now, there's nothing more that he can do than win. Vinny Tigner is the first driver non-championship eligible. His time gets him the pole position, though. Thurston now on the way with 30 seconds left. 18 drivers have registered for tonight's festivities. Larger crowd than we had last week. Thurston's time to beat a 30.13 set by Vinny Tigner to beat Drucker, a 32.47. At the line for Thurston, 30.307. It will beat neither of which. That'll put him 10th. A disappointing qualifying run for Thurston, and he's the final driver to take a time. Won't be enough. Quick, but just astray, as it is Vinny Tigner who grabs the pole position for the final time this season. A great qualifying drive from the man in the number 12. Tigner, who is 7th in points heading into the day, he'll get the job done, and he will start at the head of the field. He's looking to finish 6th in the championship and overtake Chase Schaefer tonight. Schaefer again absent after leading most of the season in championship hunts. Drucker with the big edge in points after winning last week. So, before we get into the main show, let's talk about the drivers that are eligible and go down the order. Jack Drucker is your championship leader. Of course, leading the way. As the leader, this is the first time season. He has himself 1 win on the campaign. This is his 2nd season of competition, but his first full run, and he just got his first win last week. A big win for him, and consistency has been key. He leads the championship standings with 5 top 10s, 4 top 5s, but of all drivers, he has the most stage points by a long shot, 62 stage points and 1 stage win. With all those consistent points being built up, he's got the bonus points that put him toe-to-toe with anyone, including the statistical leader on the season, James Thurston. Thurston with 3 wins, 5 top 5s, and 9 top 10s is looking to go for a perfect top 10 season in 10 races. He is 13 points back and 2 ahead of Cameron Chandler. Chandler is not in the race tonight, so it goes down next to Braden Hunsicker. Hunsicker this season has broken out for 7 top 10s, 2 top 5s, and a win. He is now 4th in points and a total of 18 back on leader Drucker. And last of all is the former multi-time champion Jordan Kuntz. Kuntz also appears not to be on the racetrack tonight, which leaves it down to 3 drivers. It'll be Drucker, Thurston, and Hunsicker going for the championship win. Big advantage so far, of course, is going to be held by Jack Drucker. By virtue of winning last week, the wind is in his sails, and it's going to be very tricky to knock him down. Conditions for tonight's race, the longest intermediate race on the schedule, are outlined as follows. An ambient temperature of 80 degrees is pretty fair. Drivers will have to deal with a slightly warmer track temperature of 83 degrees Fahrenheit. 83 degrees Fahrenheit is going to be pretty cool by all Charlotte standards, and with clear skies that you can't see, the nighttime is going to keep things as cool as it gets, even with these drivers pushing at maximum speed. Moderate humidity, light wind, but overall the big kicker is whether or not the track temp goes up or down. It's a nighttime race, which means that unlike the day to night we often see, well, tonight drivers are going to deal with rather static pavement conditions even if the temperature rises. So if you're fast now, it's very likely you'll be fast at the end of this race. Don't have to worry about anything out of the way changing racing performance. 1 minute and 20 seconds left. Time slowly ticking down. Drucker is going to head back into pit road, get some final practice. Hunsicker in his 3rd season. Drucker is in his 1st full-time season. Last season he debuted. James Thurston has been on and off for the better part of 2 years now. He's been full-time for 4 seasons. .50 seconds on the clock. And Hunsicker's still putting up times. As it stands, he's the fastest in this practice session. Fastest in first practice was Cole Wilson. Wilson, just outside of the championship running. He is 9th in points with potential to pick up a few more spots tonight. He's had himself a solid season, finally making it to victory lane, long awaited for the 22, and showing potential to be one of the better drivers as the next coming seasons go on. He only raced in 7 events this season, still made it to the top 10 points pretty firmly. Definitely one to watch out for next time around. Time's up in qualifying and practice as well. Wilson the fastest in this last warm-up session before our last race of the season. Today, 250 miles, 167 laps. Upping it from our regular 200-mile race, these drivers know it's the most important race on the season. Not only is the fact that the mileage extended, it's the last chance for anyone to win, but of course, the points game. Everyone's watching out to see who of these drivers will come away with a well-anticipated title. And there are 2 of your championship contenders. Thurston will start a little bit further behind, but while we have them now, it's about time we begin to introduce your starting grid for the final time this season. And what a starting lineup it is. At the head of the field, it's Vinny Tigner in the number 12, the multi-time race winner, the former season champion, lines up P1 with the best speed. Best time, 30.13 seconds. Matthew White goes second after a strong run last week. Wasn't able to capitalize and turn it into victory. He's looking for a little bit more tonight as he starts P2, and Matthew Weeks goes third. Weeks able to make it back up to the podium last week himself. Braden Hunsicker, the second season driver, are now moving on to his third complete season. 30.24, fourth place. Cole Wilson wraps up the top 5 in qualifying. He will take himself up to 5th with a 30.243 second lap, just 4 thousandths behind Hunsicker, and 1,000th behind Wilson is Burrell. Ethan Burrell goes 6th place in the 37. Watch out for Jack Drucker. Drucker, the championship leader, starts 7th tonight. 13-point edge over James Thurston as Kenneth Gurrell goes P8. John Meeks goes 9th, and there he is, 96. James Thurston, second in the points. He's got a lot to come through tonight. He needs a win. He starts in 10th. 11th place after that will be Zane Rahman, and it will be the 28 of Brandon Coles. In 12th, Kurt Gibson is the final driver to take its side in 13th position as Richard Cherry, Ashton Miller, Carter Casey go down to the end of the top 15 and 16th. CJ Erdman and Tyler Sevier are your final of the 18 who registered tonight. Qualifying is out of the way. This is for the title. It's the most important race of the season. And on your pole position, it is Vinny Tigner in Charlotte. Win or lose, today, everything means that much more. Never before have we brought to our final race 5 drivers title eligible at the season finale. Level of competition this season has been second to none. The best drivers, some of which with seasons of experience, others newcomers who have shook up the landscape, and it appears we're in something of a golden era for SNT, all the greats competing against each other. Chase Schaefer took them most of the way there, but in his absence, it has become a dogfight to come away with what's rest in the title race, every extra point and every final battle. And now, with a chance to crown the championship, Vinny Tigner will lead our final field of the season to the green flag. We're underway from Charlotte. Here we go again. It's time to find out who wins the title to start the year in SNT. Green flag and 3 wide for the lead already. We're moving in Charlotte. Braden Hunsicker will take the race lead, and he does so with aggression. Hunsicker, the final driver in the championship race, now sees another man with him, James Thurston. Thurston started in 10th at the line to end lap number 2. He is your leader. Thurston already up and ahead, and again for him, he's got to be the fastest driver today to even have a half a chance at winning the title. Victory is basically necessary. There is no exception to his circumstance. Thing is, for him, points are going to be a big, big deal. Jack Drucker winning the stage would all but lock up the title, or if he was to win the race. For Thurston, he's got to be in there both at the halfway marker and at the leading point. He's already led himself a lap, which is great because that gets him a bonus point, and none of the championship hopeful were able to come away with that pole position bonus point. But what that does now is narrow down where exactly a driver can benefit from extra points. And now it looks like it's going to be the halfway point of this race, or it's going to be the end. Lap 84, the halfway marker today, as we extend are racing by 34 laps. Up to the high side of the circuit, a little further behind, that was CJ Erdman, as everyone single files out. Jack Drucker had himself a good start, actually. We didn't talk about him, but he did indeed make up 2 spots, overshadowed by the fact that Thurston has gone from 10th to 1st, and the fact that Braden Hunsicker was able to lead a lap immediately after starting in P4. Drucker didn't get away poorly. It's just that everyone ahead of him got away much better. The Hendrick car is number 56, trying to make history as a full-on rookie winning the season title. He got a taste of it last season, winning a race in his part-time campaign, but he's now trying to show he means business for a full season, and he is definitely worthy of winning the title if he can earn it today. Full season points format means showing up is one of the big factors, but he's among the best to have shown up every week. So now it becomes earning it one more time. Cole Wilson stays behind Thurston. No active fight between those 2 drivers. Braden Hunsicker, 4th to 4th still. Drucker has not yet been able to put down a fight to get back up. Right now, most gaps are pretty consistent with one another. We're not seeing a lot of double file action. It looks like we're really starting to see drivers get into the motions of what is going to be one of our longest races of the season. 250 miles brings us back to the race lengths we often see at Daytona or Talladega, and it is longer than our 200-mile season opener. It's a different sort of challenge to go this distance. We often see drivers take on this track for 300 miles. Say, for instance, in the Integrity Racing League, where James Thurston, well, he was the man who was able to get the job done and win in a 300-mile endurance race, his first oval start at the mile and a halves in his Integrity career, and he won it there. He did it in the Next Gens, not the Xfinity car, and he finds himself a lot more comfortable with this Class B machine. Correction, it's the O'Reilly Auto Parts car now, but the B car, as it's referred to in iRacing, he's a lot more partial to than he is the A-Class car, as it is seen in the Tuesday Night Integrity Racing League. Even still, he won there against a lot of drivers who are comparable to the field you see in SNT, including the man who's in the Coke Series, Ethan Lane. Back straightaway still firmly holds Thurston's lead. Richard Cherry, if not Thurston. Maybe with the most impressive start, he has gained 7 to this point. And immediately behind him is CJ Erdman, who has gone now for 9 places. Erdman, 17th up to 18th. Both of those drivers were not able to get a qualifying lap in, but what they've done so far is pretty impressive, given they had no practice, no qualifying, and they have gone up to the head of the pack. Ethan Burrell and Carter Casey did not make it to the green flag, giving us 16 on the racetrack now. Still, a majority of the field that was able to make it to the first start, and it should be more than enough to give us the great racing that we've come to expect at a circuit like this. James Thurston, as we look at that onboard camera, he's got himself still clean air ahead. But the pressure begins to mount now, mainly because for Cole Wilson, he's feeling it too. Matthew White, a driver not eligible for the championship, is coming up now to make some position changes. 3rd and 4th have stayed just about identical, so we haven't seen a swap between Hunsicker or Drucker, but for 2nd place, down to the inside, it's Matthew White looking inside and lower every lap. Finally got the room to get down to the inner lane and make it his own. 22 of Wilson on the outside. It's side by side even still. And it looks like Cole Wilson just barely ahead at the stripe. Outside lane has not been preferential so far today. It has been a very basic follow the leader on the inside sort of night so far. Little bit of contact. Wilson wiggles out of it. Still toe-to-toe now. Coming into our 16th lap, James Thurston has led most of which as way outside. Cole Wilson going to drop several spots out of a shaky exit. Cole is lucky enough to get out and back on the way with what appears to be no damage, if not none, minimal. He looks to be in still solid shape. Just going to regroup himself again. Very difficult get into these problematic situations and try to find a way out on your own. Wilson, no teammates, nor does he have support. So he's just got to keep on fighting. The battle resets for him, and it looks completely different this time around. This time, he's in the back half of the field, running in the 9th position. (17 out of 167). Cole Wilson holds his own even still. He'll get behind Erdman and Matthew Weeks. Weeks qualified today in 3rd. He has dropped 4 places down. And it looks like so far just having some struggle staying in the upper echelon of the field. Side by side between he, CJ Erdman. Number 29 of Richard Cherry is a 2nd behind Thurston. About a 2nd back on the driver in the 96 as he holds his own in the 6th place. Top 5 has gotten a whole lot closer though. Vinny Tigner is now a 1/4 second behind on Hunsicker, who's a 1/4 second behind Drucker, who got up to 3rd after the Wilson incident. Then there's Matthew White. Then there's James Thurston. Thurston's goals for this race are the checkbox of perfection. For someone who started in 10th anyway. Lead a lap. He's already done it. Lead the most laps. It's going to take some time, but he could. Win the stage. Also possible. He's got to do it at lap number 84 and then win this race. By doing all of them, he will minimize the points gap to Jack Drucker at the very minimum. And if Drucker isn't able to get up there to 2nd place, well, it might just be the championship turning on its head. Bonus points have made the difference so far, and with Jack Drucker having 62 bonus stage points, the most of any one driver, he leads the championship by 13 points. That's the thing about it now. The halfway point in the race brings a lot of value. There's no stage caution, so you end up where you end up based on strategy calls, but matters a lot to be up front at the 50-50 point. Halfway down, halfway to go, if you can lead, that's 10 extra points. Now, every driver knowing that, we also have to get into the conversation of when pit stops are going to be. Cannot get to lap 80 on just one run. We have about 170 laps of racing going. I think the race is very likely going to be split into thirds with about 60 lap runs. You can go anywhere from 55 to 60 laps comfortably. 55 would be best for a race like this where you got about 170 laps, a little bit less than that in fact. 60 is typically what we see out of these drivers when they go for 90-mile runs on their fuel cells. The estimated not mileage for anyone in the B car here in iRacing, the O'Reilly Auto Parts car, is about 90 to 100 miles. That gives you 60 to 65 laps, depending on how hard you save. So it is very possible that James Thurston and company can go the regular 60 we see, and then they'll end up wherever they end up for the stage break. That's the big wonder. Everyone's going to have to go down to pit road, so they'll probably cycle out fast enough that by the time lap 84 hits, it'll be a very similar lineup to what you're looking at right now. Braden Hunsicker all over the 00 of Matthew White. Here goes nothing. Hunsicker to the inside and low. And he sails by. Top three in the championship now 1, 2, 3. More like 2, 1, 3 in points. Because Drucker, who leads it, now 2/10 behind on Thurston. Does he have what it takes to march down and beat the 96? I wouldn't be particularly surprised if he did. Rucker, by all accounts, has pace, but he hasn't yet shown the stuff to go for a pass. He's made a lot of his moves just by biding time, and perhaps that's the strategy that works best for him. Patience is key, and he's practiced it better than most anyone on the racetrack tonight. Rue turns 3 and 4 all over again. No differentiation between Thurston and Drucker over the last few laps. Pace-wise, they have been near identical. Thurston in the wall. A little bit of a mess up there from Thurston as he slightly rubs up against the wall into turn 1. Done that before a few times at these intermediates, namely Las Vegas, where that's become sort of a trademark of his racing style at that venue. Now, I say that because it doesn't always mean bad things. In fact, he's rubbed up against the wall late and still won races at 1.5 mile racetracks. But nobody wants to rub up against the wall. .30 laps in out of 167 next time by. Rucker, led by Thurston, has now gotten himself all the way out from the rest of the field. Separated from most everyone else, it's the top 2 versus everyone. If these 2 drivers run their own race, it really becomes difficult to say who of them is going to win. Cole Wilson is going to retire the car early. Let's see what happened here as the 22 appears to have had incident. He was falling back, and it looks like after contact at the head of the pack, he has decided his season is done. A shame for a former race winner on the campaign, as it looks like he just decided to back out during the middle of a run down the back straight. So Wilson, the first retiree, and he will bow out a lap down and increasing. Rucker continues to get blocked hard by James Thurston. Up high, Rucker tries to take the outside here. Thurston has been so protective of the bottom groove. If there is any chance for him to get by, he's got to find at least one way around. It means he's probably going to have to go a different direction. I wouldn't be all too surprised if he does so by using the outer lane again. 33 laps in out of 167. James Thurston continues to hold down the fort. Braden Hunsicker is 0.6 of a second behind. And even though he's still not where he wants to be, he's in that top 3. However, for Hunsicker, he doesn't really have the luxury of bonus points that are going to save him. Braden, as it stands, he's 19 points back of the championship lead. Not a bad place to be. But given the fact that the only guys who are ahead of him in points are also ahead of him on the racetrack, he's at a standstill. Gotta start reeling in, at the very least, the man ahead in James Thurston. I think that's the only way he's going to have a shot, and if he can bring in Jack Drucker and Thurston, that would be fantastic. Drucker way up in the wall. Look at that, riding up high with a huge mistake. More contact. That is your championship leader with a critical error. That's going to drop him all the way into Braden Hunsicker's lap. He said that if the 00 has any shot, the first driver he has to pull in is the 56 of Drucker. And now it looks like he's gotten that much closer. It's a very difficult situation for James Thurston. Does he balance this struggle of leading the race and defending with the importance of winning the stage? How much do you sacrifice in this early stage, no pun intended, to get those bonus points? That's a conversation that would lead you in the right direction if you know how to organize yourself, or take you out of leading contention. And right now, of course, I don't think Thurston really wants to give himself up. Got no reason to. Those bonus points might be the only thing that could bring him within the striking distance of Drucker. If Thurston were to gain every bonus point on the day, which would be to get all 10 from, of course, winning the stage, get another from leading a lap, get another from leading the most laps, 12 points. With him being a spot behind Drucker, still wouldn't be enough. But say he doesn't win and say Drucker doesn't. Then there's still a point differential placement-wise, and even if he ties, he has the tiebreaker thanks to his victories. One position is all he needs relative to Drucker. But what he really needs is to get those bonus points. So I don't think there's really any problem for James Thurston here in terms of fighting to lead at lap 84, even if he goes in regularly. I don't think the undercut's going to help him. Matthew White and Matthew Weeks now side by side. The Matthews, perhaps their final battle against one another all season long. CJ Erdman also bowed out. He's 4 laps down, and now he will finish this race in 15th, leaving us with 14 on the day as battles rage on in the mid-pack. To the inside, Cherry. Great move there from Cherry around Vinny Tigner. That's good for 6th, as your pole sitter is now falling back to about the middle of the pack that remains. Vinny just hasn't been the fastest guy tonight. Not quite sure why exactly that's the case, but regardless of what's caused it, he still had himself a great season to look back on. Vinny Tigner is one of the most consistent drivers in Saturday Night Thunder history. He's got himself a championship. He is great at the 1-mile race circuits. And that's really where he has been able to shine all throughout his career. 1-milers and the 2-milers. I mean, Michigan and Auto Club, he is remarkable. Tonight, at the 1.5 miles, might be a little bit shakier, but he's watching now as Drucker shakes big time. Loses a spot now to Weeks. might lose a spot to another Matthew. And just like that, it's going to be another pass as Matthew White and Matthew Weeks make it by. For Drucker, not good. Losing more placement relative to James Thurston even early in the going is going to give a big edge to the man in that number 96. Track position is king, and I know who knows that much. The man who's got it, Thurston, and he's loving every second of it. Having led 40 of 44 laps on the day, he's already led a considerable margin of all driving laps to this point. Only exceptions, the minimal exceptions that we've seen, being the starting four of this race. Otherwise, he has been a full steam ahead mindset. You can see there, last 2 laps, he's been averaging about a 32.312 second lap. Right there, Braden Hunsicker, not too far off. Lap by lap wise, these drivers haven't really changed much recently. They were running 30-second laps in qualifying and as their fast laps in practice, but now 2 seconds worth of fall off thanks to tire wear. At a certain point, you end up in a situation where tire fall off hits its absolute max or hits a relative maximum. It's not going to get too much worse than it does because you're already so much slower you can't do much. Tyler Spare already has gotten himself some tire, and that's why he blew by the field there as one of the lappers who's on the racetrack. Same goes for Kenneth Carell, who's 1 lap down now and looking to get himself back up. He also got rubber, one of the first drivers to head down to pit road, having done so 5 laps ago, while most drivers are on a 46-plus lap stint. .47 laps in out of 167. James Thurston keeps on fighting. Now, wonder what's going to happen here if Matthew Weeks can get up to him. Matthew is a great long-run driver who we haven't necessarily seen at the head of the pack over the last few races. This season has been a step back for Matthew, and it's been that way for a few reasons. He hasn't made as many race starts, but also in the starts that we've seen, unfortunately, he has not yet been able to get to the head of the pack. I think the big thing for him is that this season has turned out a lot differently, and he hasn't been able to chase the checkered flag, so this is really the last opportunity he's got. Weeks right now is a 1/10 of a second away from Thurston. Again, he's not racing for the championship. His only goal is the checkered. So he will, with no hesitation, drop to the inside and look for the lead. Nearly 50 laps of James Thurston dominantly holding fort, and Thurston's in the wall. Braden Hunsicker sees it. Is it blood in the water, or is it just a minor setback? Still side by side. Coming across the line again. Thurston here. Looks to be just barely up there. Just advantageous over the number 96. It's still side by side and really too close to call over the course of these last few circuits. Going a little higher. And skating up with contact. Weeks gets it, and it's going to bump him down low. Honestly, that might have helped him a little bit in turning the corner. 2 by 2. Richard Cherry also in the fight. Is a 5-car race for the lead. Cherry looking for his first main series win. Maybe, just maybe, he gets it tonight. Matthew Weeks now behind Thurston again. He looks to the middle. Not much Thurston can do. Doesn't want to get clobbered in the wall, but he does. Again, banging on the outside. Hunsicker high. He'll make the pass. Can Braden soar out of turn one and take both spots? I don't think so. It's still 3 wide for the lead. Championship on the line. Race leading position up for grabs. If they wreck, it's all Druckers. 3 wide. Still, middle of 3 is Thurston. None of these drivers have backed off. Nobody wants to give. Hunsicker's going to be the man that gives contact up the track, and Thurston's in the wall. He'll head down and hit the 83 and spins. Yellow flag is out. I cannot believe it. Thurston, Hunsicker, championship contenders collide after 3 wide action. Pulling back the tape just shows you what we saw. Not much is going to change from this angle. Up high. And Hunsicker's squeezed, but he's got room. Thurston loosened just barely. Hunsicker comes down. Drives Thurston quickly into the outside barrier. He's going to need a faster pair. And after leading the majority of this race, gets turned around. Makes contact with Kurt Gibson. Gibson goes sliding too. Minimal damage, luckily not hit by anyone else. Hunsicker, Thurston, and last, Kurt Gibson involved, as I believe the field now is going to go quickly to pit road, and we're going to have ourselves our first pit stop cycle of the day. Matthew Weeks able to secure himself top spot on this drive down and inside. Pit road has not been particularly kind to everyone so far this season. On a strategic level, it really does take another level to be great at pit road calls. It's a little bit calmer down on pit road when it's a yellow, though, so we'll focus on it as it is. Nobody else coming in, everyone else now on the drive out. Matthew White, Matthew Weeks, Braden Hunsicker, Vinny Tigner gets out. Thurston is way, way back. Jack Drucker is 1 lap down. Kurt Gibson will retire. So now it's going to be a very different makeup of the field. Thurston is going to have to do his thing again. Jack Drucker is going to stay out to get a lap back. Reason he's a lap down, he went down to pit road about 7 laps ago. So he's not going to go in again. He's going to save a set. And it looks like tonight, when we talk about saving a set, that is something to keep in mind. 3 extra sets available regularly, but we do have more today. 5 extra sets. Nonetheless, Drucker will decide not to be wasteful. Drucker will get that lap back. Matthew White now in control. Championship leader now, I would still think is, by just the slimmest of margins, Jack Drucker. It all comes down to lap 84, that halfway point. The rest of this race is going to be run based on how these drivers align themselves for that. One to green now. The Matthews line up first and second. That is White and Weeks at the top 2. We'll get back at it this time around, as Matthew White gets his first chance in control on restart number 1. Today, it appears the only thing that has really stopped the field from making it through fully under green is the aggression up in front. With every point and position mattering that much more, it is intense at the upper echelon. Green flags out, inside line, has an amazing drive. Matthew White will lead the way, and they're all following with him. Contact! Down to the inside, Brandon Combs. He's spinning. The yellow flag is out. A quick second caution. Let's see why. Just wiggles up at the contact with the apron and ends up shooting high again, only to hit another in John Meeks. Harsh hit to Meeks. Wasn't even involved in the initial incident. Take a ride on board with John. Just at the start of this sequence, got passed by Thurston. James gets away barely from what would have been a season ender. Yellow's out for the second time. James bumps up to 7th. Brucker is the lucky dog. It'll be 1 lap to green at about lap 61. We'll go back at it at 62. Matthew White still leads, but Braden Hunsicker was able to cut quickly and get himself up to 2nd. Weeks, P3 now. Not a bad start for Weeks, but simply outclassed off the jump by 00. Richard Cheery up to 5th. We see him continuously make good runs in the part-time starts he's had. Summer Series champion last year. Now, of course, his big goal is to finally translate that and prove he's got the winning stuff. Big series. Top 5, he's running up there. He was just within the confines when that 3 wide incident happened, so he's got the pace. There's definitely a chance for Richard Cherry tonight. Just depends on how well he chases it. I think the big thing for him, just getting around some of these guys like Tigner and Weeks. He's gotten close, and now the conversation becomes beating them. Heading toward the line again. Caution could be accelerated by a lap. We will go back at it at 61. Matthew White and Weeks are now lined up together on the inner groove. Restarting for the second time, led now by the 88. Let's see who's the best of all on this second restart. And hopefully, we get this restart and we can finally pull it back up to speed. Getting the ball rolling. Second time. Vinny Tigner in fourth, the pole sitter. The highest spot he's running since the beginning of this race. No laps led on the day, even though he got us started. Drop back real fast. Green flags out. Second restart of the day. Inside again, much better, but no big accordion effect as Thurston moves up into the top 5 conversation just before we make it to turn 1. Additionally, Jack Drucker is now back on the lead lap in 12th. Your points leader is not yet done. White and Hunsicker side by side for the lead. Now we are some 23 laps away from the critical point, the halfway mark in the stage break. Not a break per se, but you're going to see points distributed there that are going to change the championship complexion. James Thurston is sailing high. There is nobody else with him. He is bad, fast on the top side, and rolling through at speed. As quick as he's coming, Braden Hunsicker doesn't have enough time to even think about defense. He slots in line for second. Thurston is without a doubt over the 40-lap period the fastest driver on the racetrack. Everyone got back to him at the end. Wasn't able to pass before the incident, but in terms of the immediate bolt, he is the fastest driver. To the inside again. Thurston's looking for it on the 00 of Braden Hunsicker. Matthew White tries to get to the inside one more time. Thurston up top. James is confident as ever, no matter what the situation is, and that's what makes him such a dangerous driver in a situation like this. And this is a championship he's wanted for far too long. A champion in the IORA Cup Series, one of the first to do it and one of the most successful ever in that field. He's now the best driver over the past month in the Integrity Racing League. He's got a lot to prove, and every time he steps up to bat, he's been able to prove it again and again and again. Here in Saturday Night Thunder, he has just ever so slightly been denied. And yet I don't think today he's going to stand for that and let it be. Coming through again. Braden Hunsicker keeps letting it go. Hunsicker's defense has been solid, even though Thurston looked to be a hardcore offensive force. And now it's the top 2 out in their own world, 66 laps in at 167. That leaves us with a situation that's pretty difficult to describe. I would put it as this much. These two drivers are out in their own world, but they've got a race ahead of them. They've got 150 miles. Remember, regularly, when we go at it and we race at this sort of circuit, it's generally 150 miles, 100 laps. They have that entire distance ahead of them, and they've run 67 laps, and they're on their second set of tire. The race really begins on a lap like this, in a moment like right now. So for Thurston, he's got time. For Hunsicker, he has time too, but is that a good thing? Because that's a lot of time to play defense, and it's not comfortable. Back straightaway is all his. Hunsicker. Thurston is not yet gone for the pass. I think he's going to wear him down. Kirk Gibson, the last to retire, leave 13 on the field now, with the last of which, Tyler Seaver, the 77. Matthew Weeks drops to 5th as Richard Cheery gets by him. And it looks like now Cheery is the next up to bat if there's going to be a fight for the podium. Matthew White has gotten just enough distance He looks comfortable in his spot, but Richard Cherry could very quickly knock him down a peg. Brandon Combs, 12th to 6th, after an incident earlier. In fact, the most recent caution has recovered and is now sitting just behind the top 5. He's still competitive. We got less than 20 to go until we get to the most important part, the halfway. "70 laps in out of 167 here. It looks like, as it stands, Braden Hunsicker still has his defense on lock, but he can't go up there. James Thurston gets higher. Now Thurston has the door, and even though it took him a little bit to open it up, it looks like he's got himself the shot to drive down the outside and make it stick. Didn't quite work out that time. He'll fall back in second. Hunsicker is in a tricky spot regardless, as now Thurston gets down to the inside, where even if he's one position apart in leading, he won't have a position or points edge, should I say, above James Thurston. Thurston and Hunsicker, their biggest enemy is Drucker. But even with that being the case, they're close enough to each other where almost nothing changes if they're just a spot apart. James Thurston drops to second place again. Matthew White holds third. Richard Cherry has slowly reeled him in. It's going to be a dogfight for third, with Cherry looking for that open spot. Not too far behind, Kenneth Gurrell is in a 6-car race that Jack Drucker is now trying to lead. Not going to be easy, though. It's taken 3 wide. Drucker now 3 with the inside held by Kenneth Gurrell. And the outside was held by Tigner. He'll take the spot. Drucker, since that incident he was involved in, or rather since his tire strategy was a little different, now he finds himself way back on where he wanted to be. '57 of Kenneth Gurrell keeps on chasing in the Refined Engineering Chevrolet. And again, a major thank you to the guys at Refined Engineering and Consulting who have stepped up to bat to make this season one of the best in SNT history. Refined Engineering and Consulting does not simply sell you a set, they ensure the setup is tailored to your exact needs with coaching, and testing services. REC, well, when you work with them, all you have to do is drive the car. Their website is justdrivecar.com. That is justdrivecar. Those words together, justdrivecar.com, and it'll send you directly to their Discord server where you can have their iRacing setups and their expertise free of charge to join. Thank you again to Refined Engineering and Consulting for their continued support. Kenneth Gurrell being put through the ringer on the outside. He now has himself a hard fight to stay ahead of that number 24, Brandon Combs, going side by side with Vinny Tigner. Tigner is the man that is looking for 6th on Brandon Combs. "76 laps in out of 167, coming next to 77. Next time by, 10 laps to go in what is undoubtedly going to be a thrilling run. Last shot before the stage break. Matthew Weeks coming up now on Matthew White. It's the Matthew and Matthew Show. Take a brief ride on board with Driver 11. Driving on the outside, and it looks like with a little bit of a blink from White, he finds an open door, and he'll use it. New Matthew on top. It's going to be Weeks with some internet trouble continuously for Matthew White. That's a great move there from the number 11 and a textbook pass in a tricky situation. '79 out of 167. Matthew Weeks has continued to make gains over the stretch of this run. And the short run level gives James Thurston pretty big edges, typically. Right now, of course, passed by Hunsicker. But Matthew Weeks, when it comes down to leading the way after 40-plus laps, he's showing us he has the stuff. '81 laps in out of 167. Will Thurston try a little bit harder now to take that final bonus point? I think there's incentive enough for him to do it. Right behind, he's closed the gap up again. Over the last 4 laps, Thurston has narrowed down that gap from as much as 15 hundredths down to 15 thousandths that time by. And he's there. This is what it's all about. To the outside and for the lead. James Thurston, big pass. And he is now ahead with less than 5 laps to go until our halfway point. That was great. A move like that is going to get him the bonus points necessary for a championship bid. Drucker still drives in 7th. Not nearly close enough. '87 was, of course, when we expect to see pit stop cycles next time around. '84, there you have it. This lap, Thurston completes it. He'll have the stage. Just has to stay ahead of Hunsicker and get to the start-finish line. And it's bonus points. 10 bonus points. Getting up to the head of the field and pulling away. Thurston's got it at the line. Big points. That is huge. And a win with those stage points could be the championship for Thurston. Bad news for Drucker. With 62 and the most bonus points through stages on the season, he does not come in clutch when he needs it most. Now finds himself 7th with a lot of points just cut back. Worse yet, so far, Drucker has not yet even led a lap tonight. And of the championship contenders, he's the only of which you can say that. Thurston has now led 53, and he pulled himself all the way up just to get to that halfway point. He's led the most laps of anyone on the day by a convincing margin. Braden Hunsicker has so far led at 22. Could end up leading his 23rd if he just gets that lead back immediately. Dropping to the bottom. Both. Driver number 00 and 96 again, 1 and 2 to the inside. James Thurston's got to breathe a sigh of relief right now after a big moment just leading that 84th lap. The difficult problems that he's had to deal with all season long in terms of being consistent, he has finally gotten himself where he needs to be. Points are his. Now Hunsicker's got to struggle and keep Matthew Weeks behind. Weeks might just be the driver to look out for in terms of winning this race. I don't know if it's going to be a big deal for him right now, given that he is still with a lot of time ahead of him. But Matthew Weeks looks like on the long runs the fastest driver by a long shot. Take a look to the inside, and he gets second. Here's a ride on board for Matthew. Let's see what he does for the rest of this lap. Across the line again. James Thurston still leads, but as we've seen here, Weeks, he's gotten great runs out of the exit of the corner. Braden Hunsicker still watching. And now Matthew White and Richard Cherry all on this trail. This is starting to look like what we saw for that first incident. And I'm a little worried that James Thurston maybe sees the similarities as well. He's not going to fight as particularly hard to keep his position. Going to slide back ever so slightly. That gives him the means to get back into the position. P2. .93 laps in out of 167. Matthew White holds down the fort. He'll keep fourth as Richard Cherry is trying to get into it. Right now it appears Thurston is going to let a few spots slide back, but again, a lot of weight taken off him for the way he's driven the first half. Most laps led and the stage win. Patience is going to become a lot more critical now in these next few laps. Next few dozen, shall I say. Next 50 laps are going to be all about biding time and getting to the most important final stage just to finish it out. Anywhere from here to lap 145 is really just going through the motions. You wait a little bit more, you continue to wait, and eventually you're going to get to the checkered flag. I think that's the great part of it right now for Thurston. He's done a lot of that busy work, gotten himself a hard push up to the head of the field, now can drop back ever so slightly, and just needs to pull himself together to end it on top. Braden Hunsicker second is going to chase after the lead. Brandon Combs is coming. He has new tire. He went down to pit road. That explains pretty quickly exactly what's going on. He's trying to squeeze by Matthew. Oh, contact, Brandon Combs. That is a lapper trying to make a hard-fought pass. Maybe a little bit too much ambition in one foul swoop. That was great for driver number 28 to get away from, but I don't think it was him who got out of that one alone. .97 laps in out of 167. Matthew Weeks leads the way, and now the fleet of 5 up ahead looks rather different. Jack Drucker 1 lap down is again going for an alternate strategy call, of which he appears to be rather confident in. 1 lap down again and in 12th. Last time he did this, he got caught off the leading lap. I think that's really what killed him. Hopefully now, he'll be able to figure things out. Number 11 of Matthew Weeks. He's Richard Sherry, a quarter second back now. This is the longest run that we've had since the beginning of the race, and it might be able to go even longer than the start. And if it does go that distance, Richard Sherry might just show us long run pace that even Weeks doesn't have. James Thurston and Matthew White side by side. Thurston, not a lot of reason to bang doors here. He was slot just ahead for P4. .67 laps to go. Top 5 is single file all the way down. A 29 at Sherry. He is all over Matthew Weeks for the lead. Take a look at this. It's clean ahead for number 11. Richard Sherry, though, not quite. Now this is win or go home mentality. Sherry for a first career SNT win. Matthew White still just ahead as Jack Drucker is going around to get his lap back. Looks like this time around he's at far less risk of being caught 1 under. As he takes the drive into turns 1 and 2, 3 and 4, he'll get by. So, Drucker is back on lead lap. Just pretty far out relative to your leaders. You still have in him 1 more pit stop if we stay green. And they can go up to 15 laps longer if they want. I think it's very likely anyway that these drivers are going to go to lap 60 at the very least. Just try to get 1 more long run in, do a little bit of the busy work right now, and then make sure that final run gets them to the checkered. Richard Sherry for the race lead. He's low, and he is still right where he wants to be. He's got the bottom groove put well together, and now looks to be just fast enough. .104 laps in. And Richard Sherry, for the first time today, is your leader. Coming across the line, it's the 29 of Sherry in control. 50 lap stint, he's the fastest of the long runners. Richard Sherry, man of the hour perhaps if he can steal this win. James Thurston has fallen back to 5th, but for him right now anyway, it's all good because Jack Drucker runs 12th and behind with no laps led and bonus points not nearly as collected. It really looks like, for all intents and purposes, Thurston is running the race he needs to run to win the title. Drucker has put together an amazing season and came in with 13 points of an advantage. But it looks like if that margin isn't just close, it might not even do the job. White just got through and passed Braden Hunsicker. 60 laps to go next time by. Cheery now starting to build a gap. And perhaps the most important thing to happen here for Cheery is to go through the very, very last section of this race bleeding. He gets down to pit road, runs that strategy well, 4 tires and fuel on a very fast stop. I think he's going to have himself the win just based on no green flags. Rather, no yellow flags, no green flag interruption. Been a very clean race besides the 2 incidents we had at around lap 50. Matthew White, Braden Hunsicker, James Thurston, all of which around one another. They've separated. That pack that we saw beforehand really has dissipated, and everyone now just running their own race, lap after lap, and whittling down. No leaders have given the call to pit road yet. I think that's the most important thing for the cycle. Ninth to 11th. Zayn Rahman, one of the rookies who's come on late this season. Had an up and down day. Let's talk a little more about this. Number 66 is high with 6th. And it looks like since then, Zayn has found himself in the mid-pack for the majority of the night. In the top 10 and looking to go for another top 10 performance, 66 is bringing some momentum as one of the part-time guys we've seen this season, looking to make the leap to full-time competition when we begin at the end of next summer. He's the only rookie on the racetrack tonight that is a part-time rookie this season. Jack Drucker is, of course, a rookie full-time, leading the points coming into the day. He can lead if he can somehow get back up into that leading conversation. I don't know. Maybe that's all he needs. Brandon Combs, my apologies, he is also a part-time rookie this season. He's been up and down, as high as 5th, but he's decided to cut in for a sort of abbreviated run. I don't know why exactly he would do that, but he's going to make the call to bow a little bit further out of the conversation of leading right now. We'll see what happens here for him. But in the meanwhile, Richard Cherry is the talk of the town and holds control over everyone. And he is out there. Take a ride on board with Cherry. Let's see if there's anything interesting he does. Cherry that time by, really showing that fundamentals are key. And we said, hey, maybe there's something interesting he's doing. But in all honesty, not quite. Taking it down to the inside, he's getting to the apex of the corner, he's driving off. And now there's something interesting. He's heading down to pit road. Inside pit road after how long was that stint? It was 60 laps on the dot. He's hit the magic number, which means that he can go the rest of this race without concerning himself of anything else. He will head down to pit road a little bit earlier than his contemporaries. The undercut gets him out and away. Matthew White stays on the racetrack, as does anyone he's competing against. Driving to the inside, down to pit road. Thurston this time by. He'll be next. James drops in. Braden Hunsicker stays out, as do the Matthews. It'll be Weeks staying in second. White in P1. Coming now to less than 50 laps to go. Leader White stays out. Weeks more the same. Braden Hunsicker, the top three, all stay together. Richard Cherry now 1 lap down. And he's back on the way with James Thurston ready to rescore next time by. He puts himself back on the track. Where does he fall relative to Cherry? Considerably far behind with younger rubber. ...117 laps in with 50 now to go. Thurston pulls onto the racetrack. He still is ahead of Jack Drucker strategically, but it's going to take a long while for him to get back up to the driver, the 56. I think Drucker's in a really interesting spot. He went down to pit road 27 laps ago. He needs a caution if he wants to stay on the cycle. Matthew Weeks pits in this time by. He'll bring Hunsicker with him. Matthew White was already in. Who's the first among them to get out? I think the answer is a little bit obvious if you caught them on the entry. White should have the clear edge. And he will. To be followed by Weeks and then by a sliding Braden Hunsicker, who aggressively gets out of pit road. All three file back out. Richard Cherry already on the back straight. James Thurston has gotten by them all as well, except for Matthew White, who meets him right there in second. Now Thurston gets by. That leaves John Meeks and Tyler Sevier, the only pure holdouts. And somewhere halfway is the man in the 56, Jack Drucker. Now to the inside, John Meeks decides to bow down and in. Tyler Sevier goes with. That leaves Drucker as your leader for the first time all night long. He will lead a lap. 120 laps of racing. It took him that long, but Drucker finally gets himself a lead lap. A remarkable drive from Thurston and company has overshadowed what has been a very solid race for one of the best in the field on the season, Drucker, who unfortunately just has not had the night really get up and out there and control it. Winning last week put all the wind in his sails, but Thurston, the veteran, has clawed him all the way back. ...121 laps in, Cherry leads with Tigner, then behind Ashton Miller, Matthew White, and James Thurston. Thurston has led approximately half of this race right now. I think no matter what, he's going to lead the most on the day, unless Richard Cherry quickly gets back to the lead. There's going to be a lot of parity because Drucker's going to lead his fair deal of laps. He's going to lead 20 or 30. And by that point, Richard Cherry's not going to be able to lead another 40 laps. So I believe Thurston is in the position to gain that final bonus point, one that is so critical, with every point counting even more. ...123 laps. Vinny Tigner, third. Ashton Miller now fourth. No more. Matthew White's going to get by him. A quick move down to the inside for White. And he propels himself back out and again. White on Cherry, I don't think we're going to see it again. The numbers don't seem to be in anyone's favor for that battle. Maybe in Matthew White's favor. But it's 0.2 of a second a lap on a 6-second deficit. Eventually, both drivers are going to end up puttering out to about 32 seconds a lap. Both right now are still in that ever-fast 30-second range. And Matthew White still with a little bit of internet trouble there, trying to keep up with him. Vinny Tigner holds his own in third. I think he's got just enough distance that he's going to be top 3 for maybe 20 more laps. Not fast enough. 31.3 second lap here. That time he was half a second slower than Matthew White to last the rest of the way. He's in a good position if an incident is to happen. 2 cautions on the night. A third could really put the 12 back in business. No guarantee of that, really. And not only that, the shot is slim, but it's never impossible. We have seen late race cautions decide this championship before. Matter of fact, we've seen it with Vinny Tigner involved, going head-to-head with guys like Jordan Coons. Richard Sherry, and now a 1-second lead over Jack Drucker. Got by Drucker, who's on old rubber, and that gives Cherry just about 40 laps on the dot to lead the rest of the way if he can. 12 laps out of 127. Thurston has led 59. So even if Thurston is to lead the entire, or rather, lose out, and the entire rest of the way goes to Richard Cherry, then Cherry is only going to lead 52 laps. James Thurston next to Ashton Miller. Miller holds his own as just behind is Tyler Sevier. Tyler right now 1 lap down on an alternate strategy. So he's not going to be the conversation that we're seeing here, but James Thurston absolutely is. Just got by Miller to re-enter the top 5. Jack Drucker is going to have to head down to pit road eventually. He's holding out for as long as he can. And for all the alternate run he's had, he has only led 6 laps on the day. Regrettably, a dismal effort for the 56 in terms of leading laps. And that might just be what cost him the championship. More than anything else, not being able to lead is going to kill him. .130 laps in out of 167. Richard Sherry, 2 seconds up on Matthew White. The gap, as you may have remembered, has been cut from as high as 6 seconds. 4 laps ago, it was 3.5. Now, down to 2.5. And it's going to become 2.22 seconds that time by. .131 laps in. Matthew White might just see Richard Cherry at the end of it after all. And perhaps the only mistake that he's made is going in for the undercut. I think the undercut's going to cost him big here. Even that lap that he went in, that's 0.2 of a second he's losing every lap. Yellow flag is out. We've got a caution. Matthew Weeks is definitely involved. He just retired for the night. And a shocker, a late race yellow. Did he just decide to back out at the yellow? Yeah, he did. Weeks is going to call it. Who was involved? Wow, it's Jack Drucker. His season not over. Remember, he does have a faster pair. But watch this. Huge championship implications for Drucker, who needs a perfect recovery to have any chance left at the title. Drucker being chased by Thurston. Coming out of 4. He was just tremendously slower. I don't know what else to make of it. Thurston makes contact with him, but he was far too slow coming out of 4. We'll watch that one more time, this time from the onboard of Thurston, and we're going to pull it super slow-mo as that happens. One more time now. Down the back straightaway. Thurston was coming up at a speed of about 170 some. It back down to 155. Drucker was definitely on the gas. Driver telemetry shows he was at about 152 miles an hour, but he was sliding up and then suddenly lost speed big. He was on the gas at the time of contact, but clearly wiggled. Thurston tried to go high, couldn't find a way out, and makes harsh contact at speed, sends Drucker around. Drucker's back on the way after final service, and although I don't believe that contact was intentional, it definitely works out in Drucker's favor more than anything to now have the field re-racked and restacked rather than if he was to fully fall out of the field's upper echelon. Still going to lose a lot of track position, but he's closer than he would have been. We're 34 laps away from the end of the season. Getting the drive into turn 4, led by our pace car once again, Richard Cherry. Still has control, but again, he's got older rubber, and it was showing that Matthew White was faster. He very likely is going to pull away on this run. Two by two all over again, 11 on the lead lap, as Tyler Sevier will catch up. All eyes on Richard Cherry, who is gunning for his first career main series win. One of the few guys in this field with notable off-season success, now trying to prove what we've seen over the course of the night. I'm one of the better leaders late in this race with 20 laps led out of the last 30 laps. But Matthew White seems to have the answer to this, man, and he's ready to show it. Green flag set to fly. Richard Cherry gets the jump. Green flag's out. Thurston now up to third, already looking for second. We're back on our way in our third and what could be our final caution of the day. Matthew White already dropping right back to the inside for the lead. Little bit of a bobble there as it's side by side for P2. 3 wide again. Shades of lap 50. I'm not sure if Thurston should be a fan of that, but he used it well. It's a buy one, get one free pass for James Thurston. He'll take the lead. He's all in control with 30 laps to go next time by. Hunsicker takes second. Matthew White holds his own for third. Cherry fourth. Tigner fifth. That is the moment you need as a driver fighting for the title. And Thurston, the driver who's led the most laps of the day, is all of a sudden back in control, but Hunsicker looks for the spot again. Braden has not the bonus points to match Thurston, which is going to be critical for him even if he does win. 29 laps to go. As they run, Drucker is sorely the odd man out, running in 7th. If he can't get up in that top 5, he's not really in consideration. Who might be in consideration, however, regardless of course, who you're seeing right now at the head of the pack, is Braden Hunsicker if James Thurston falls back. Now for him, let's talk about the situation. He is 6 points behind on Thurston, which makes it very difficult to say if he's going to be able to break out with Thurston all over him. 6 points is more than the gap between positions. So even if they finish first and second, advantage 96, or rather advantage 00, it's basically not possible to break away from James Thurston. Unless he gets all the bonus points that he hasn't. That's the oxymoron, or rather the opposite circumstance that we've seen. He has not been able to pull every bonus point he needs. Braden Hunsicker still finds himself rather subservient to the 96. He falls back to 3rd. Maybe things open up ever so slightly, but Thurston has really done his best at securing every extra point, knowing his season is on the line. "25 laps to go." Up next, Richard Cherry still there. He fell back slightly, but he looks to be a lot more comfortable biding his time. He has been strong at coming through the pack, but when he led during that green flag section after pit stops, he really dropped behind. I think, interestingly, it has benefited Cherry to be in the company of these other drivers. Not something we would say often. Dirty air is, of course, a very hard thing to deal with as Thurston looks to get the lead once again. But for Cherry's sake, it looks like being among the best has gotten him to become even stronger. Side by side, championship rivals going for the lead. Matthew White continues to follow back. 24 coming to 23 laps to go. Braden Hunsicker takes the lead again. For the final time this season, we're going to crank it up with our friends at WhiplashSimCams.com, iRacing's best camera providers on the market. They are the best of the best, without certainty, of course, that anyone can compete with them, because there's only one Whiplash. Check out their Discord server and their social media platforms to learn more on Facebook, X, Instagram, and of course, that Discord for free camera packs. With 22 laps to go on the season, for the final time, let's crank it up from the Charlotte Motor Speedway with the title to decide. Well, take a look back, because for the first time in a long while, Thurston is falling behind. Now, I'm not sure what the answer for this is. He's right behind Jack Drucker now. But it looks like it is a hard-fought fight that is changing up big. The 56 of Drucker is out and ahead, 7th up to 4th. And even though, yes, he's only led 6 laps on the day to Thurston's 60, he's got position, and that is big. Something we haven't seen out of him all night. This is going to change the championship calculations, which will be done immediately after the end of this race. "16 laps to go." Richard Sherry is following Braden Hunsicker. Sherry has revitalized his race again. We said it before. Just had to fall back a little bit. Pretty shocking that Sherry was slower by starting ahead. Now it looks like he's been able to put himself back in more competitive spirits just by waiting, getting back to where he wants to be. "15 to go. Richard Sherry still within 0.2 of a second. Thurston being ahead of Drucker would be the death blow, given all the bonus points that have been stacked against the 56. Number 12 of Vinny Tigner heads in on Thurston now. And for a moment, it looked like it was going to be Thurston putting down the pressure on Jack Drucker. Instead, a little bit of a vice versa situation. Thurston is the one feeling the pressure. Nevertheless, 13 to go, a dozen to do it up next. It's all about Braden Hunsicker here. It looks like Braden should be able to comfortably get away with this win if Sherry can't pull it up. He's still there. 12 to do it. James Thurston gets back on offense against Jack Drucker. Take a look on board as he tries to squeeze low. Jack couldn't quite get there to the inside last lap, but he just had to wait through 3 and 4. He got the momentum and got the speed. No surprise that Drucker's been able to hold the position now. "10 laps to go on the season. Richard Sherry, Matthew White, Jack Drucker, James Thurston. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Tigner has knocked on the door many a time for that top 5 spot. Has not yet taken it. Nine laps remaining. Ashton Miller, 15th to 7th. Up 8 places. Has had a solid race, and we haven't even really seen him in the upper conversation. Yet it looks like right now, he's where he needs to be if he wants to pull away with some last-minute gains. 9 coming to 8 laps remaining. Ashton Miller gets in the wall briefly. Thurston again driving to the inside. Trying to set up a final pass as Hunsicker looks to end the season with the win. 20 points down, and nearly 20 points down is where Braden Hunsicker lies. The complication for him, of course, is that he starts behind both the driver, the 96, and, of course, Jack Drucker, the championship leader. With both of those drivers ahead to start, it becomes very, very difficult to imagine that Hunsicker can win this title even with just a victory. Six to go. Drucker is strung out again, slightly ahead of Thurston. Does Jack have to worry? That's the question. Ashton Miller down out to the inside. Neither Thurston nor Drucker opt to go there. It looks like they are instead comfortable up high. Six to go. Five laps remaining, in fact. Watch what happens here as Braden Hunsicker is still a tenth and a half ahead. It's a single file run. This is the tricky part. Does Thurston have to make it around Hunsicker? Does Braden Hunsicker have enough to maintain and hold the lead? I'm hearing scraping in the background. And it looks like it's all the way back there. No troubles for these leaders still. Thurston is there, as he's been for the past 20 plus laps. Hunsicker is comfortable in the lead. But he still definitely could drop. Three laps to go. Coming to 3 miles at only 2 laps. Thurston now further behind on Drucker. Jack's on the podium. Oh, Thurston needs to get by Matthew White. And he's ahead, but not yet clear. Richard Sherry and Braden Hunsicker are the battle for the lead here. With the white flag ahead, this is the only battle the 00 can control. One more lap. Drucker has gotten away to a comfortable third. The fight for fourth is between White and Thurston. Braden Hunsicker, 1 lap to go. Richard Sherry looking for his first career main series win. He's got a great run down the back. Into 3. Sherry, low. He's got the room. Can he drive it any further? He rubs up on Hunsicker, but won't turn him around. Coming across the checkered flag, Hunsicker prevails. Hunsicker wins his second of the season. Drucker finishes third. Thurston, 6th. He falls back at the end of the race. And he already parked it. Jack Drucker is laying back and waiting for the official call. Thurston collapses on the final lap and drops from 4th to 6th. Hunsicker wins. He's able to keep Drucker behind. Led more laps than him. He led 52. And now he's making it to the stripe. Drucker again was 19 points up. And he's coming down to celebrate. With Thurston falling those spots at the end, Drucker is settling in as Braden celebrates his fantastic win. And we're waiting on the official call, but all seems to lead to say that we know our champion is Jack Drucker. The 56 just barely holds on, surges for the podium, and takes it on the final lap. And the winning man, Braden Hunsicker, what a drive to end the season as your top two in points jam each other at the start-finish line. Thurston with 6th, can't hold on. The difference is that final moment. And Drucker, the rookie, is the champion. Hunsicker down to his pit stall. Drucker off the circuit. Your champion is the driver, the number 56. The rookie just holds on and takes the title. What a season. We'll be right back with your post-race results and interviews for the championship winner and the race winner. Stay tuned. After a message from our friends at iRacing, we'll bring you all post-race coverage just after this.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
What a ride for the championship fight. Braden Hunsicker won't be able to do the impossible, but he wins. Gets the job done over Richard Sherry, who fought diligently toward the end. Just can't get away. Jack Drucker going to win the championship, finishing 3rd. 4th is Matthew White. 5th is then Kenny Tigner. James Thurston drops back at the end to go 6th, with 7th being John Meeks. Kenneth Gorell finishes P8. Zane Rahman goes 9th, and Tyler Sevier P10 to wrap up the top 10 for your final race of the season. Final drivers on the campaign go as follows, with 11th being Ashton Miller, 12th being Brandon Combs. Then from there, have Matthew Weeks, Kurt Gibson, CJ Urban, Cole Wilson, Ethan Burrell, and Carter Casey. That's the field. It all ends then and there. And your champion is the first man we'll speak to, 3rd place finisher, and most of all, a rookie, Jack Drucker, who finishes about as good as it's been all season long and makes his way to the end on top. 3rd place is just enough to finish the closest championship battle we've seen as its victor. We saw the burnouts. The finish of this season comes in very satisfying fashion. Jack Drucker, you're a champion as a full-time rookie.
That's all you wanted to hear, man. I can't believe it. This was a night where execution was at a premium. Set back early with the speed and penalty, and then trying to get off strategy to make something happen. But Man, I can't believe it. I'm so proud of putting together that kind of season and getting back in the game. And tonight, just staying strong, staying in the fight, and coming home with a good finish. Shout out to Braden. He had a hell of a car tonight. Richard too. Um, yeah, no, and shout out to James because all three of us were right in the game where we needed to be for most of the night. So yeah, just couldn't be prouder. And thank you guys at FTN for putting on a great season too. I'll say that again, but I'm overwhelmed right now.
And you're right about that. Tonight started very tricky for this 56 team. Of all the championship contenders, the one thing you guys missed out on was really leading laps and getting leading time at the head of the field. So you went off strategy and you got caught a lap down to begin with. Can you walk us through what it was like dealing with that early section first?
Well, getting the speeding penalty, because I figured there was two ways to go about that. You could probably make it on 3 stops, or trying to do it like 40, 40, and 40, and then a little bit longer run at the end. So I was trying to get the short pit and try to get out and think, okay, here's how we get out front, because it was really hard to pass tonight with the way the aero is and the track conditions and all that stuff. And yeah, just lost focus for a second, whatever, coming into pit road and sped, which unfortunate, being 2 laps down, and then got 2 quick cautions to get us back in the game. But on the caution, I took the free pass to get back on the lead lap. I was still on the tires that that I was on from my pit stop at lap 45. So then trying to get stage points was really difficult, trying to hold on with those older tires compared to the guys that just pit. I mean, you're racing around fast guys there still too, so it's not easy, but just try to salvage what I could with the stage, because I figured if I came in here tonight and just scored stage points, it would make the second half kind of like, okay, we can manage it from here. But it's always the nights with everything on the line that it's gonna never go smooth. But just like I said, stayed in the game, and that was really the first early part of the race. And then the mid part of the race, that still being off sequence and being on those older tires, that's why I pit with 80 to go, trying to just find a way to say, okay, if I can get time on a new set rather than running all the way to the end of the fuel run, that might be how I can get some track position back. Because if I stay on these old tires, I'm just going to keep burning time to the field.
And the end of this race was where execution looks like came back alive. I mean, those last laps, it was critical for you to stay in the top 5 fight, but you found a way up to the podium. What did you do in that last drive that made things happen again?
Hey, David, you got a copy?
Yep.
We're so bad on executing tonight, the headset just died, but we're all good. Yeah, no, I did hear the question, and yeah, in terms of, I mean, that was the hard part, man, just getting out of cycle and then being out of track position. But I felt like we had a good car and could have stayed okay, and it was just really hard to pass. And I tried on the initial run, I think where I was like 7th or 8th at the start of that final run, trying to just save them a little bit early. And I figure like it's so hard to pass on equal tires, you might as well try and save and get them at the end. Thought I did a good enough job of that, and then it was just really hard to like get by Matthew and Richard and Braden and James and Vinny, and yeah, no. And then at that point, it was just trying to take away James's lane to try to make sure I keep him behind me, because I didn't know the points situation entirely, but I knew if I finished ahead of him, it would be okay. And then I knew I wasn't catching Braden, so every point counted for that. But yeah, no, just held it together. That's kind of got all the bad juju out of the way in the first half and put together a really strong, composed drive to finish it off. So definitely proud of that. Proud to get back on the podium. It's nice to be up here like on merit for that, and not just because of clinching the championship. But yeah, no, seasons. I felt like that was kind of a microcosm of my whole season, that one race. So it was a long night.
Well, either way, there's not much better you can do for a first season than to win the championship and get it done in such a very turnaround fashion. It wasn't a dominant season to start, but it was a full season points. Every race counted, and those last races really went your way, Jack. Next season, there's not much else you can do besides defending the title. What is the expectation now, of course, achieving so much so fast?
Just keep trying to get more and keep showing up with pace, because as long as we keep showing up with pace, hopefully we'll be in the game. And as long as we're in the game, the points will settle themselves. So I think definitely the early part of the season, there's a lot of points on the table between some in-race contact, some speed, like a speeding penalty in New Hampshire, Just things like that where you look back at it and you're like, holy crap, there's a lot of points lost. But yeah, no, so we're gonna celebrate and enjoy this season. It's a really gratifying feeling to win a championship in a field this strong, and we'll be ready when the next season rolls around to go and defend it.
Well, a championship, a podium in the final race, and a huge drive from end to end this season. Jack Drucker, you begin this season a first-time rookie and end it a champion. Any final message you'd like to send?
Thank you guys again at FTN, David, everybody over there that puts on the show every week. We appreciate you. Vinny Tigner, Cardi Casey putting on this league, Braden Hunsicker, James Thurston, the guys who are racing for the championship tonight. Mom and Dad, Tom, all the great people I got out here watching every week, trying to cheer me on and give us some good stuff. So appreciate everybody that contributes to this deal and puts it on, and just really grateful to be a champion tonight. It's a good feeling.
Jack Drucker is an SNT champion and does it in his first season full time. Thank you again for stopping by and congratulations on a great season.
Thank you so much, David. And shout out Hendrick Motorsports. Forgot those guys too, but definitely need a big shout to them. So thank you again. Appreciate you.
Drucker wins the title. Braden Hunsicker does almost everything in his power. And even though the first half might have not gone his way fully, the win is still his. Braden, you fought hard, you battled to keep that top step. And even though the championship is just out of reach, this win is yours, and it ends your best career season so far.
Well, I did all I could. I ran probably my most perfect race in this league. So I mean, there's a lot of positives from this race, but it just wasn't enough. So I'm proud of what we were able to do this season. Obviously, you mentioned this was our best season statistically, so I'm proud of that. Was able to rack up 2 wins, and just had a lot of fun this season. So that's one of the main things I'm looking at. Looking back on the season, really weren't that consistent this season. Was all over the place, but had a lot of fun, and this race was really fun, and just looking forward to next season and what it has to offer.
Now, today, you found yourself starting fourth. You had great track position. You were up and down in that first half. The long runs were very common today. What was it like adjusting your car for our longest intermediate race to get the most out of it?
It built really tight on the long run. Turns 1 and 2 was especially tight, and just had to save your right front and making sure that wasn't getting too worn out so that you weren't plowing in the wall every corner. So, it was a fun race, tire saving. I had a lot of fun doing that, and it was really fun.
Now, of course, finding yourself at the end of the season, second in points. We're taking our summer break. You had 2 wins and your best season by the numbers. Performances are looking better and better for this 00 team. What do you think you can do next season, maybe to even back it up and take it a step further?
I'm expecting a lot. I'm expecting more wins, more top 3s, all that. And, I finished second in the championship battle last season, and I'm just really hungry for a championship. Back-to-back P2s is not what I was wanting, and just looking forward to next season and getting that title.
Braden Hunsicker, the championship fight from end to end, a lot more intense thanks to you being involved. 2 wins and a season finale victory. Any final comments you'd like to send? The floor is yours.
Shout out Cameron Chandler. Shout out Richard Cheery. Shout out Matthew White. They're the best.
There we have it. Braden Hunsicker winning here from Charlotte. Thank you for your time.
Yep, thank you.
Hunsicker ends it all off as your final winner, and your last member of the podium today is the number 29. Richard Cheery had his best career SNT race, starting 14th, leading big laps, and just coming up short second on the last lap.
Well, I mean, today it seems like IORA is better unprepared because I don't know, I decided to race last minute, to be honest, and we're really, really good in the long runs. I sucked on cold tires, so that's what probably cost us the win there at the end, not having the track position. I was just destroying my tires there with that line at the end. And it's really, really cool to be a part of a finish like that. Usually when there's a kind of a quote unquote close finish, it's always I'm hearing from somebody else. So to be a part of it is really cool.
Now, I'll tell you this much. Your long run speed from 40 to 50 laps was the best of everyone. How was it like for you saving tire and keeping so much speed?
Well, I mean, it's really funny because when I started doing ovals in iRacing, they put so much emphasis into it, tire saving. And it doesn't really seem that prominent now. I have started to notice as the cars, they get more aerodynamic. So in iRacing, like models, I mean, and dirtier matters, it starts mattering a lot more. And I've really come to notice also that using other lanes is not really it doesn't really destroy your tires. Depending on the point of the rain, might even help, because if you're going to the outside, for example, you're using more right rear and everything. But to be honest, with the long run speed, I don't really know what I do. I feel like I use drive, and that's about it. So, but it's a shame that for me that lately these races are just be more determined by short runs, which is not my strongest point. Like I said, I lacked a lot of grip on cold tires, and I lost like 3 spots on that restart, and then started to pick back up. So.
Now, I wonder, when we look at that last run you had, your last time going down a pit road, you went in a little bit earlier than everyone else. Why exactly did you make that call?
Well, I thought Matthew and the guys behind me, since they have so much, since the guys behind have much control on the strategy over me, I thought one lap was going to be kind of costly. So I decided to come in early, and it was going to be a huge mistake because Matthew was going to catch me quick, and I was saving, but he said he was saving too. So he was going to catch me eventually, and who knows what would have happened, but probably he would have probably gone past me. Still would have finished second, because I don't think Vinny had about all the tires on me. Correct me if I'm wrong. And then Braden, and I think Thurston, and I don't remember who else, Jack, who I want to congratulate for the championship also. They were too far behind. So.
Richard Cherry, nevertheless, this was your best run of the season, best finish in the main series. Now I gotta ask you, what's next? Next season, are you gonna come back for a little bit more?
I think I said last season that I know or something, and then I came back for a couple races. Depending on when the league starts, I might be able to make a couple of starts and then just fall off as I start college. So who knows? Maybe I will race here and there like I have done this season, really.
Well, with that said, great finish and a standout performance. Second place is yours. Richard, any final comments you'd like to send?
I want to send shout-outs, and I'm going to send shout-outs in Spanish too. Well, first in English to Carlos Ortiz, Brian Hansiker, thank you for the shout-out, Kenny Chandler, and all the TCMC bunch. Just great people. They have made me improve a lot. In that team, we have some monsters, Kevin Chandler, Matthew White in the road courses. Aston Miller is getting better and better and better. He had a lot. He was being quick there on the long run. He was saving, and then unfortunately he got caught with he didn't have the track position. So I just want to send a shout out to those people in English and now in Spanish. Quiero mandar un saludo a mi grupo, Valentino y Florencia. Florencia, te echamos mucho de menos. Te fuiste hace una semana, pero bueno, hace casi 2. Pero te echamos mucho de menos, así que nada, espero que todo por ahí te vaya bien. Casi llevo una palabrota. Te vaya bien y nada, te queremos. Te dedico esta segunda posición para ti. Y también a mis padres, bueno, a mamá y a papá, evidentemente. Que gracias a ellos, gracias a vosotros puedo hacer estas cosas, porque vosotros comparáis el PC, lo que os digo, $33 es la suscripción esta, que me permite hacer cosas nos permite hacer cosas como estas, porque no solo yo. And that would be it. So.
Well, Richard Cherry, second place on the day, and a fantastic final bow for the season. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for broadcasting, David. Appreciate it.
Cherry takes second. It is Braden Hunsicker, your final winner on the season. He finishes 6 points away from the championship. When all is said and done, Thurston finishes 10 off, but there is no match for Jack Drucker. He'll win his first career SNT championship as a first-time full-time competitor. What a race and what a season. Without a doubt, the most competitive that we have seen in SNT's history, where 5 drivers were points eligible for the title on the final night of competition. Drucker is just able to hold them off. Until next season, we'll come back with August being the expected starting date for another run of Saturday Night Thunder. And as always, coverage continues on FTN. We'll be back with our next broadcast on Tuesday night, and Saturday night action continues with the NSR Gen 4 Cup Series as they keep on racing through the rest of the summer on these Saturdays. No matter if SNT takes a break, these drivers are going to find a way to keep on racing and keep their skills sharp, and many of them will be with us on FTN. You want to stay tuned and figure out when exactly we broadcast next, make sure to leave a like on the stream, subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned for our next coming broadcasts. I was David Croyt, producer, commentator for tonight's event. I'll see you next on Tuesday night, and hopefully see you when we begin again next season. Thank you to the admin team at Saturday Night Thunder for keeping us on at FTN for another great season. Congratulations to Braden Hunsicker for his second win on the campaign, and driver number 56, Jack Drucker, his first career title on the weekend tour. This has been Saturday Night Thunder's 2026A campaign. We're signing out. We'll see you in August. Thank you for tuning in. We hope you have a fantastic night.
Ten weeks, one champion. It all comes down to this. Brace yourself. 350 horses on a rampage. The Outlaw Dirt Series Sportsman Modifieds are coming to Shaggy TV. Tuesday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern, the Sportsman Modifieds will roar to life across 10 of iRacing's amazing dirt tracks, starting at Lanier and ending at Oswego. You just gotta be there. Cherry Cinematography, specializing in iRacing photography, has deals to suit all your needs. With deals like 5 for 10, 10 for 20, 15 for 30, and 20 for 60, you cannot go wrong. You can reach out to Carson Cherry 226 on Discord. That's CARSON Cherry 226.
You feel the ground shake. Your bones begin to rattle. You hold on for dear life. 280 foot-pounds of torque is coming your way. It's the TFG Sport Compact Series, dropping 168 horsepower with 2 front wheels of squealing. Every night's a beatdown.
The TFG Sport Compact Series is coming back to Right Rear Racing on Friday, December 5th at 9 p.m. Eastern. Watch it live on YouTube with Right Rear Racing TV as the Jettis clash at the historic Nashville Fairgrounds. 2 Fat Guy Sim Racing promotions, where the challenge remains unique.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Boundless makes its presence felt. It will not be ignored. We're helping turn ideas into reality with a wealth of building products that take every architectural style to the next level. This is what it's like to imagine, build, and transform anything we want into exactly what we seek. This is what it means to be boundless.
built it, and then someone from the other side of the world came and told me that they want to spread this product to 50 countries in the world, so it's a huge personal accomplishment.
Welcome to the Underdog Racing Podcast, where we talk to NASCAR drivers from all over the great country of America. Each week, we chat about the latest races, share stories from the track, and get to know the drivers behind the wheel. We break down the action, hear from drivers about their experiences, and dive into what drives them to keep racing. Whether you're a longtime NASCAR fan or just curious about the sport, this is the place for you. So tune in to the Underdog Racing Podcast, your inside look at the world of NASCAR. Catch us every Wednesday at 6:30 Eastern.